Hey guys, thanks to getting my EX2 Tidus, I now have a non-elemental DPS on the JP server that's actually current, which allows me to go through and backtrack on these trials that I'm missing missions for. So we're going to Gloomwing for the two missions I don't have yet, which is 5 units or less and 15 turns or less. We're going to go for an all mission clear in one go with our new Tidus. Now, hey bro set me up another Tidus. He's being an actual bro for this. And this time we're going with an ice team. Gloomwing can only be hurt by ice or wind damage. So we're going to start General Seals in the base form. We're going to shift her immediately and use her shifted LB to Ice Imbue, Ice Amp, Stat Buff, etc. And she's auto covering. We're going to use Sayaka to Immunity Buff and Barrier. We're going to use Yish to Spear in Peril, Ice in Peril, and Break. And then Tiduses are using Kane's STMR for a double-handed Spear build. So Tidus is now going to just chain. So once again, just like the Cerberus trial, we can't use water, so we are just going to be support chaining, or chaining, for the entirety of this clear. Okay. The damage will go up a little bit more once our Yish gets her SLB ready. Now that turn looked really painful, and it was really painful, but that's because we didn't have any mitigations yet. But the boss only does a life drain on turn 1, which can't kill you as long as you have a barrier, and we had a barrier, so it was fine. This turn, we're going to go ahead and entrust over to General Celeste, and then we're going to... let's do a big healing just to be safe here. We're going to use an Eccentric from Panacea's, or Riku's pouch, with Yish, and we're going to go ahead and chain up our Tiduses again. Also, keep in mind, the boss does do accuracy down on your entire party, but as long as you're true double hand with enough accuracy up, it negates that. But this is like basically a big no-no fight for true dual wielders unless you've got an accuracy buffer on your party, which unfortunately we do not. So we're going to go ahead and refresh the buffs and all with General Celeste this turn, because this turn we are going to get berserked on Celeste, but that's okay. So go ahead and reload this. Let's use Tidus's cooldown chain here. Now, it would be good to save that for after the SLB, but because it's a 3-turn cooldown and it's going to be only a 15-turn fight, not using the cooldown burst when it's available, just basically waste the use of it. There's really nothing we can do here with Yish. We'll just go ahead and LB again. Yish is like kind of a dead slot here other than breaking. I mean, breaking is obviously incredibly important. She's also our weapon in peril. But other than being the breaker, Yish isn't really doing a ton. So we're going to go ahead and LB Sayaka. That cures all debuffs and gets rid of the Berserk off of our General Celeste. Let's use the SLB on Yish to put up a bigger Spear in Peril, bigger Ice in Peril, etc. And we're going to support chain our... I keep calling it support chain. We're going to chain our Tidus, not support chain, just chain for real. So now that the SLB is up, we're going to be doing better damage here. We're also going to go ahead and use Yish's Magnus now for an 88% break for a decent chunk more damage. So let's go ahead and do Yish's Magnus, which is going to be an 88% break for the next like 3 turns or something. I forget how long exactly. It's not really that important. Let's go ahead and shift General Celeste and do the shifted LB yet again. We're going to do all the immunity buffs again with Sayaka, and let's go ahead and support chain our Tidus. Let me just reload here. Wait for all this to finish. Alright, we should be doing a decent chunk more damage at this point. Not that much more, but enough. It's good. Okay, so next turn we're getting berserked yet again. The boss does death, which is fine. We're provoking with immunity on General Celeste. Alright, she's getting berserked again next turn, so we're going to do this, this, and this. Alright, let's go ahead and Panacea, or I keep calling it Panacea. Let's Eccentric with Yish so that we can get more LB fill. Because it's a little tricky. We got to keep getting General Celeste's LB filled every like 3 turns, basically, and we can't always entrust with Sayaka. But this turn, we can just do an LB fill twice, which is fine. Let's go ahead and do our chaining before we do that. But there is a mana drain on this fight, but with Sayaka's LB every third turn, the mana drain is mostly, for the most part, negated. Not really negated, but mitigated to the point where it's not really a problem. Alright, here's the Berserk yet again. Not too big a deal. And Sayaka's LB is crazy strong. It causes massive health regen, so even though we're not really going to heal this turn, it's fine. Let's go ahead and do an LB with you. It's turn 7, so we're going to just chain this up. The boss gets, like most of these bosses, it gets a little bit more dangerous in Phase 2. Honestly, not much more. This boss's challenge never really was the incoming tank damage. The challenge was like the mana drain, the debuffs, but more importantly, the bulk. And there's really not many good ice or wind DPS units, which is a really big problem for the fight. Like, all the good units were elemental locked in JP until Tidus came along. It's turn 8. We just cured our things. How's our cover looking on General Celeste? Mitigations. We're going to go ahead and shift this turn. Turn 8. Next turn is turn 9. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and shift and do the shifted LB for that. We can... Turn 9. Yeah, let's entrust over here, and then let's do a big healing. Turn this. Yeah, I'm trying to optimize my turns and all that. Let's go ahead and do this. Now we're going to be in Phase 2. Slightly more damage taken. Not really that much, though. Like I said, this boss is not dangerous. It's just bulky and irritating. Now, there is a really powerful fire attack with a 300% fire in peril, but we are immuning that with our tank. Let's go ahead and do this, this, and this. Let's have Sayaka do... Sayaka is so good, dude. Wish global header. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and... Didn't we just do the SLB on this boss? We did. So let's eccentric, I guess. I really wish Yish had an actual break. She's only an 87% breaker. Like, she's barely better than Jessie, but she brings Spear in Peril, which is, oh my god. My chain broke. I'm gonna start that turn over because we're like really on a time clock here. So I'm gonna be right back. Whoopsie on breaking the chain. Alright guys, let's go ahead and try that turn again. Yeah, that was kind of my fault for the chain breaking. Stardust Ray is a little tricky to chain, and I am playing on Andap, and Andap is usually pretty easy to chain on, but it's not flawless. It's not flawless. And normally I wouldn't care that much, but like we are really on a tight turn clock to get this 15 turn clear, and with only 5 units. If I was using a 6th unit, we'd be super safe and like over capping by a lot. But yeah, all right, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Better chaining. Okay, so we're back on track again. Yeah, we really can't afford a single turn of broken chains here to get all missions. Alright, so there's the Berserk. The Berserk is every 3rd turn. Not a problem. We're going to do Sayaka's LB again to cure it. Also, like I mentioned, Sayaka's LB is massive mana regen, which is very important for this fight where he mana drains you constantly. Alright, wait for all this to finish. Alright, let's go ahead and chain this up. Properly chain it, which is the way to go. Okay, so it's turn 10, and the boss is at 30%, so he's below 2/3. So yeah, we're pretty much on track for a clear at this point. The boss's mana drains and all get a little bit stronger in this phase. Not too much stronger. We just cured the Berserk. So we're going to go ahead and shift and do the shifted LB. Let's go ahead and re-entrust over, and then let's heal the party with a barrier. The boss should be broken for a bit longer. Yeah, he is. Next turn we get the SLB. So let's go ahead and eccentric. It's turn 11, so we're going to chain up Tidus again. Can you imagine how good Tidus would be if his LB was also non-elemental? We could do, like, proper damage, not just chaining. Like, Tidus is clearing this trial with literally just chaining. If he had, like, non-elemental SLB too, he'd be so good. He'd be so good. But I'm really kind of happy that it's actually the kind of like old school with chaining. that is actually strong. You know, we haven't really had like a good chainer, like just plain old legit chainer, in a long time. Tidus is like the first one in forever, and it's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and do this. And it's kind of nice that the mana drain is not really as big of a problem here. All right, there we go. And that's with his cooldown chain. We might even get a 14 turn clear in. Probably not, because our next cooldown chain is not until turn 15. But it should be fine. All right, that was turn 12. So that was the Berserk turn. We're gonna go ahead and LB to get rid of that Berserk. We just did the SLB last turn with Yish, didn't we? Didn't we? I'm pretty sure we... I mean, we're going to do it again anyway. I don't know. Yeah, like, I'm not really paying a ton of attention to Yish's rotation, because Yish is really here for one thing, to break. Break and Imperil, and Spear Imperil. And that's basically it. And let's go ahead and chain it up. Chain was good. I mean, Yish can contribute, like, a little bit of damage. The problem is Yish's chains are all Bolting Strike. Either Bolting Strike or Chaos Wave Awaken, so they are not compatible with our Tidus, who is doing exclusively Stardust Ray chaining. Tidus does have Bolting Strike in his kit, so technically speaking, we could Bolting Strike with Tidus, but it's lower modifier, and it's just not worth doing, so we're not going to do it. Let's go ahead and Eccentric one more time. Turn 14. Wait for all this to finish. Let's go ahead and chain it up. Please don't break the chain. Yep, looking good. And okay, next turn we have the good cooldown chain. That's a 15 turn clear with only 5 units. That is awesome. That is super awesome. Okay, we are good to go. Done. We're going to use the cooldown chain just for that flashy overkill, but we wouldn't even need to. The boss is at 2%. So there is the all mission clear. 5 units, 15 turns or less, and no items used. Okay, so General Celeste starts the fight in the base form for auto-covering magic. She has 400%, or as close to it as possible, fire resist, because the boss does a 300% fire imperil. So after the imperil, we're only at 20 or 80% resist. That's enough, truth be told. 32,000 HP, 5,400 spirit, and here's the gear we're using. Death immunity as well. We're not using passive provoke, we're using active provoke. That's fine, we don't really need passive provoke on this one because we're active provoking constantly. The Dragon Quest card, I've talked about that one before. And then shift form, basically the same thing. The shift form is a little bit squishier, so we have to change gear around slightly. Still death immune, but there we go, and a little bit higher fire resist. And she provides the Ice Imbue, Ice Amplify, and Stat buff for the party. Sayaka does immunity to everything. The boss does basically all the status effects in the game, pretty much, as well as Berserk and Death, Mana Drain. So Sayaka's LB is God tier. It's just enormous health regen, enormous mana regen. It also cures all debuffs, including Berserk. I do that every 3rd turn. We gave her a Vision card slot with a Master card. Other than that, a lot of LB fill, so 12 LB a turn, and mana reduction. And I gave her the Anniversary Moogle TMR just because we actually never needed that. We were never, ever in danger of running out of mana with this team. So that really wasn't that important. So high spirit, basically, 4,000 or 4,100 spirit, which is pretty good for a 7-star. Yish is here for one reason and one reason only. The SLB. It is a 145% Ice Imperil and a 30% or 35% Spear Imperil. So she's basically the Ice version of Tulian, and she's an 87% Breaker, which is terrible. I wish it was higher than 87%, but, you know, what are you going to do? So she's a big Ice Imperil and a big Spear Imperil, and that's basically it. I gave her some fill rate, some bulk, some mana reduction, and then Riku's pouch so we can do eccentric every turn, because, like, whatever. If you happen to own Elmatiel's STMR, give that to Yish, and she can apply Insect Killer to your DPS. I actually do have one copy of Elmatiel from Off Banners, but I wasn't willing to STMR Moogle her early just for this clear. And as you saw, we didn't even need it, so there you go. And then star player Tidus, never used the shift form this fight. Double-handed spear build, because we're using Spear Imperil. You know, we can't use the LB, meaning we can't use his Sword Imperil. So spear build, pure chaining, Insect Killer, mine's got 8,300 attack power and maxed Insect Killer, chain cap up, and some mana regen. We gave him Pure Lotus for lots of mana regen, so we can self-sustain our mana pool. And then Hey Bro built one as well, 8,500 attack power. He's using Mazurka's STMR, some mana regen. There we go. Then orange card, and is he maxed on killers? He is maxed on killers. So there we go. There was all mission clear with the Gloomwing. I am going through the backlog of trials with Tidus. At this point, the only trial I have remaining with missions on is Rafflesia, the flower. I have not beaten the flower at all yet on hard mode. So that might be tomorrow's project. We'll see. We'll see. One thing at a time. So this time, yeah, the friend, this time, I also decided to go ahead and level 130 my Tidus. He seems to be a good investment, so I 130'd him. So this time, the friend had Oran's STMR, and I do not. Because I don't have any Oran's whatsoever on the JP server, I don't have that boost for Tidus, and it does apply to the new Tidus as well. So I actually didn't see, did we get any summon tickets? If so, we'll do a quick summon. If not, that's the end of the video. No summon tickets, end of the video. And that materia is a Demon Killer materia. 75 Demon Killer, magic and physical, as well as 42 magic and 42 attack. Okay, all missions done. See you next time.